Well, hello there. Today is March 29th. I am coming with three things to talk about today. Number one, I want to talk about what is happening in the news with the Republican senators trying to block Biden's loan forgiveness plan through Congress. That's one piece of news. I want to talk about some innovative state programs that are trying to attract student loan borrowers through loan forgiveness. So maybe you would consider moving to one of those states, especially if you work remote, if you're interested in further loan forgiveness. And then lastly, I want to talk a little bit about the income-driven repayment waiver, the extended waiver update, and how many borrowers have benefited so far. So those are the three topics we're going to talk about today. First and foremost, let me talk about these Republican senators who are trying to block forgiveness. It's unfortunate, but basically they are 35. I don't want to point out, there's specific senators, but basically 35 Republican senators signed on. And they're hoping that because the Senate is slight majority Republican, that they will easily be able to, in a simple vote without a filibuster, be able to vote to strike down Biden's loan forgiveness program. Of course, Biden can veto this, and if he vetoes it, it will require a 2/3 majority vote to overrule Biden's veto. So I want to put that out there because obviously we're at the very beginning stage to try to collect and see the simple majority. If Congress will get the simple majority, and then we'll go from there. But essentially, as it goes through the Supreme Court, and it immediately got struck down by the lower courts, but as it's going through the Supreme Court, I guess Senator Bill Cassidy of Louisiana, John Ernst of Iowa. So essentially, some of the states that are essentially that filed the Supreme Court case as well are involved in spearheading this, along with 36 other GOP senators, introduced a resolution on Monday to overturn Biden's relief program, which promises up to 20 grand. You know what kills me? I just have to do my own little commentary here. Everybody is so focused on this blank 10 to 20 grand of relief. They're over focusing on it. And the reason I say that is because Biden is literally, through Miguel Cardona and the Department of Ed, is single-handedly giving people this relief anyways. I mean, if you apply for the income-driven repayment waiver program and apply into income-driven, and if you have FFEL or other forms of loan and you consolidate them to and enroll into an income-driven repayment plan by May, you could get your payments, a lot of even time you were in forbearance, counted towards loan forgiveness. And that is a quick and dirty pathway to loan forgiveness. And no one is talking about that or trying to stop that. They only care when they see dollars and cents on a blanket forgiveness. They're freaking out. But the reality is a lot of these student loan programs will yield forgiveness anyways. That will yield forgiveness anyways. It doesn't matter if Congress or executive action actually approves the 10 to 20 grand. It's just easier to make headlines and easier to get attention when it's a straight out amount of money forgiven right away, rather than various amounts for various borrowers depending on their ability to pay, so on and so forth. So I think it's getting unnecessarily attacked. And what people that don't understand student loans don't realize is that a lot of these loans would either be forgiven or borrowers would default and never pay on them anyways, even if they're basically chased down until death. And that's been apparent with how default has already been working. So I just wanted to give that little bit of information on what's happening right now. The senators introduced a resolution using the Congressional Review Act, which allows Congress to roll back regulations from the executive branch without needing to clear a 60 vote threshold in the Senate that is necessary for most legislation. So I thought that was interesting. So we'll see how that ends up going. We don't know the end result of that yet. And now I want to go on to topic number 2, which is states that are giving different benefits to student loan borrowers. And I will go through some of those states. I know the state of Maine is one of them. I will start with Maine since that's the one I just mentioned. The state of Maine offers a program called the Opportunity Maine Tax Credit. So if you're a full-time resident of Maine, you're eligible. And the eligibility requirements are based on the year you graduated, and the program's actually being expanded so that they can attract more young people. Expanded and simplified to attract more young people to Maine is essentially what it's looking like. And according to the released information, borrowers who meet degree graduation monthly payment requirements may be eligible to receive up to $25,000 of loan forgiveness. That's a pretty big freaking deal. I will link to the Opportunity Maine Tax Credit in the description. And then there's the state of Kansas, which is surprising because they're known for being a more conservative state. But if you move to one of the 95 counties in Kansas designated as a rural opportunity zone, you'll be eligible for student loan repayment assistance of up to $15,000 over 5 years. To qualify, you have to have a student loan balance in your name and be a new resident to one of these designated areas and zones. So I thought that was interesting that the state of Kansas put that out. I will put a link in the description to this as well. And of course, the link, I'm looking at the link right now. In fact, I should probably screen share this, but the link includes all the counties and who is eligible based on what county you live in. So there are a few counties that are not eligible, but it looks like a lot of them are. So that's really interesting for the state of Kansas. So if you happen to be interested in moving back home and your family's from Kansas, that might be a great thing to look into. The state of Maryland, this is the one that I find to be the most interesting, actually. The state of Maryland has a Buy Smart 3.0 program that provides up to $5,000 of down payment assistance. So it's not just related to student loans, but down payment assistance and student loan assistance to borrowers who want to buy a home. Very interesting, right? You must have at least $1,000 of student debt, which if you have student debt, $1,000 is such a measly amount. That doesn't even pay for like a class, right? The program will pay off your student loans equal to 15% of the house cost with a maximum payoff of $50,000. Oh my God, Maryland has great benefits. If you want to move to the state of Maryland, Buy Smart 3.0, that it provides $5,000 assistance and up to 30% of your student loans up to 15% of the housing cost. They'll pay to your student loans up to $50,000. Huge, great benefit. I will link to that below as well. I'm on the Maryland Buy Smart 3.0 program. I'm looking at it right now. It's a maryland.gov site. And wow. So the full-time student debt for at least one of the borrowers must be paid off at the time of the home purchase. A full student debt of at least one of the borrowers must be paid off. Okay. And home buyer must meet all eligible requirements for the Maryland mortgage program. So there are details to make sure, if you're interested in that, to really look into the details before. Make sure you look into the details because you want to pay off your student loans in a way that actually qualifies for the program if you are interested in that. They have an entire one pager. Actually, it's more than a one pager. It's multiple pagers, but it's actually a 3-pager. They have a 3-pager on the eligibility requirements of the program. So I would definitely look into that. And also you, by the way, you have to take a class by a HUD approved counselor. So they probably have even more details in the state of Maryland on that program. Definitely make sure to, understand the eligibility and not do something with your student loans before fully understanding that if you want to qualify for that. So just putting it out there. I'm not going to, this article I'm reading includes the state of Michigan. The reason I don't think the state of Michigan is that compelling is it's specifically for a specific profession, which is healthcare professionals in areas that they're short, but they qualify for up to $300,000 in loan forgiveness. So that's a huge benefit for healthcare workers in the state of Michigan. You have to work in specific areas as well. And also obviously be a healthcare worker. So that's limited by profession. The other states are more open just to attract young people. from what it seems like. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to point number 3. I opened my LinkedIn today and I saw that I'm constantly reading news about student loans, so no surprise, right? But an article popped up in my feed. The third point that I wanted to update you all on is 453 borrowers are approved for student loan forgiveness under the waiver. So that's the income-driven repayment waiver that I've consistently talked about. The deadline is in May. Do not miss that because almost 500,000 people have already benefited. So nearly 500,000 people have already been approved for this federal student loan program under a one-time waiver program. And what this waiver program is they are literally right now counting extra payments towards loan forgiveness. That's why I'm saying Congress is focused on the wrong thing, because there are people getting their debt forgiven and a lot of debt forgiven through this one-time adjustment as well. Many more borrowers ultimately qualify even while another Biden administration initiative is being blocked, so that's the point. So be smart, let Congress and let everybody fuss around the 10 to 20K. Meanwhile, you could get tons of your debt counted towards forgiveness and have loan forgiveness in so few payments, right? So the student loan forgiveness under PSLF waiver, so it's not just for public servants. Public servants specifically were also given access to this program. The deadline has passed, but they could still get access to it through an income-driven repayment program as well. But public service loan forgiveness is a federal program that eliminates federal loans for those who commit to public service, for those who do not know that. And after 120 payments, their debt is discharged. Historically, the program was created in 2007, and you had to make qualifying payments. However, there were so many errors that people made. So they literally rolled out this limited time program to help qualify more payments. Because if you enrolled into a wrong repayment program, you didn't file your paperwork correctly, whatever the error was, they will now basically forgive those errors and count more payments so that you can accelerate towards getting loan forgiveness. That is what this waiver program is. So it allows borrowers to accelerate their progress to reach their threshold of their 120 payments if you're a public servant. If you're not a public servant, it's 240 payments, right? So just wanted to give an FYI to that. And so if you're not a public servant, like I said, 240 payments. And if you've made errors, if you haven't been enrolled in that program the entire time, you can enroll now and get your historic payments counted as well, but that must be before May of this year. So I just wanted to put that out. Over 3.6 million borrowers have received at least 3 years of credit towards loan forgiveness under this initiative. So 500,000 have benefited through getting their loans forgiven, and another 3.6 million have received 3 years of credit towards loan forgiveness. That's huge. I mean, if you have 10 years to pay and you got 3 additional years counted and you've already paid for 5, that's only 2 more years you have to pay, right? So that's a huge deal. So if you have federal FFEL loans, parent loans, whatever, you have to consolidate them into direct loans in order to get credit. So I wanted to emphasize that again and share with you the number of people that are getting credit and that are benefiting, so that if you are not one of those people, you should be. And you should enroll your paperwork even right now, even while we're in payment pause, because you can only be eligible for the benefit of this program until May of this year. I cannot emphasize enough. Before May of this year, you must apply. We're on standby to help. If that process is confusing, you need assistance, we give completely free estimates in our application at myloansense.com or app.myloansense.com. I will link in the description below as well. And if you like this content, believe others would benefit from it, please subscribe, please share, and please like. And I cannot wait to come to you again next week with additional information. Comment, ask your questions, and I try to address everybody's questions, as well as comments and questions help guide video content as well. So thank you for those that are commenting, subscribing, and those that are making suggestions for content. Have a great day.